Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Rippin' the Fence, we're going to be talking about everything we saw from Pocono Raceway. But before we hop into the video, just want to quickly remind you guys to hit that like button and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it if you guys did that. But let's go ahead and hop into the video. Matthew, my friend and co-host, is joining me as always. And we got a lot to talk about. All three series raced at Pocono, but Matthew, quickly before we hop into things, how are you doing before we hop into the video?
I've seen better days. The reason why I'm wearing this nice tropical shirt here because I am officially ready for Cancun. Basically, I am declaring official. This number 8 team is officially done for the season. They're not winning a race this season. They are not making the playoffs this year. And yeah, the season's over. I'm declaring it right now. Season is over. Pack it up. No reason to go to any more races for this team to go to any more races this season because I have seen enough. Um, but yeah, let's. But other than that, it was a good weekend. Besides that, and yeah, let's get right into it.
All right. We will talk about the situation that transpired regarding Kyle Busch a little bit later in the video. But as for everything else that happened, so the Truck and Xfinity Series, Corey Heim ended up winning the truck race. Heim time is definitely on the rise right now in the Truck Series. It was delayed by rain, but they were able to get the full race in, thankfully, after a few delays during the race. And then Cole Custer on the Xfinity side ended up winning the race over there. Their first Xfinity win for Ford, and it took them all the way into July, but they ended up getting the job done. So congrats to Cole Custer over there. For the Cup race, looked like Toyotas, they were strong early in the race. Ty Gibbs started on the pole, his second career pole, and Martin Truex Jr. went on to win the first stage. Denny Hamlin was also up there. Tyler Reddick, he was also up there as well. There was various pit strategy all day. Pocono is usually known for being a pit strategy race, a fuel mileage race, and that was the case again for most of the day today. There was a caution on lap 15 for Noah Gragson spinning, and some drivers decided to pit under that caution, and some decided to stay out. And then when the first stage ended, the drivers that stayed out for the first caution they pitted, and then the ones that pitted they stayed out, so that flip flopped the field a little bit. Ross Chastain, he spun out in stage 2 in turn 3, damaged his race car before spinning out again or making more contact with the wall in turn 1. That ended his day. And then in that case, Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs, and Austin Cindric, they decided to stay out because they thought they could make it on 2 more stops from that point in the race. But Denny Hamlin, he would win the second stage. He pitted and fell all the way back to 16th, along with a few other drivers. I know Chase Elliott was up there at the time. He pitted, he fell back pretty far back as well. There was a caution for Todd Gilliland with 46 laps to go, and that pretty much eliminated any kind of fuel strategy because everybody could make it to the end on fuel from there, which is kind of unfortunate because this race would have been a lot more interesting, I think, if that caution didn't come out and fuel strategy played a factor into the finish of the race. But that caution pretty much eliminated that, so everybody pitted. Um, and drivers, unfortunately, during that pit stop, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Ty Gibbs, they were all busted for speeding. That was a real bummer for Chase Elliott because he finished second in that stage and would have had pretty good track position to the start of stage 3. But he did speed. It was his first speeding penalty in I forgot what they said, 60 or 70 races or something like that. So couldn't have come at a worse time for Chase Elliott, but 4 drivers were busted for speeding, and it was in a section where they were doing their speed checks on pit road before the race started, and a lot of drivers had an issue with that specific section, but apparently they adjusted pretty well during the race. But for that one pit stop, looked like a lot of drivers, they had an issue with that one specific section. But after that, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, they cycled to the front, and it was mainly a battle between those first two rows for the rest of the race. But there were some incidents on the racetrack that did happen. First of which, on that restart, Corey LaJoie and Kyle Busch, they made contact. Looked like on the restart, Kyle Busch made a move to make it 3 wide, and then Corey LaJoie tried to make it 4 wide. Kyle Busch closed the door, and then they made contact there, and then they made contact again going into turn 1. Kyle Busch spins, collects a lot of cars in the incident. Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Harrison Burton, AJ Allmendinger, they were all involved. I'll give my opinion on it after I finish this and then go over the race results, but that incident did happen, and then after that, there was another caution for Zane Smith and John Hunter Nemechek. They wrecked coming off of turn 1 on the Long Pond straightaway, and shortly after that, Ty Gibbs blew an engine, probably one of the most catastrophic engines I've ever seen blow up, because also props to that cameraman that caught it on video. They caught the fluid coming out of the exhaust, and it was just gushing out of that exhaust pipe. Like, it was very, very bad. And I have to critique NASCAR just a little bit because they waited a little bit too long to throw that caution. They literally waited until the field got all the way back to turn 1, and they were in the middle of turn 1, and they threw the caution. And Ty Gibbs, he blew his engine right there, like in the racing line going into turn 1, and NASCAR's just like, we're not going to throw a caution, why not? They probably threw the caution because he stopped on the racetrack and not for the fluid probably going into turn 1. But thankfully no cars drove through the fluid and spun out or anything like that. But that caution did come out, and that would be the last caution of the day. The end of the race ended up coming down to Ryan Blaney maintaining the lead on the restart, and then he had to hold off Alex Bowman for a few laps. Bowman was really making the second lane work in turns 1 and 3, but Ryan Blaney moved up there, started taking his air away, and then Alex Bowman got really tight off of turn 1 at one point, fell back, and then Denny Hamlin eventually passed him for second, but Ryan Blaney was not able to, Denny Hamlin was not able to catch Ryan Blaney for the win. So Ryan Blaney ends up getting the win. I will go over the results real quick with you guys. They'll be on the screen as always. So not all 4 Hendrick drivers finished in the top 10. Almost all of them. Kyle Larson did not. Alex Bowman, William Byron, and Chase Elliott did. Elliott got back up to 9th after that speeding penalty, so good rally back for him. Brad Keselowski 7th, Joey Logano 5th, a couple of their Fords in the top 10 there. Bubba Wallace 10th, want to give a shout out to him because with Ross Chastain having his issue, that allowed Bubba Wallace to close the points deficit to him for the playoffs. So Bubba was able to capitalize on that and get a top 10 run out of it when it looked like he had arguably like a 20th place car. So props to him for rallying, getting a top 10 out of it, maximizing the effort on the day to get those points. But as for the post-race thoughts, quickly we want to talk about Ryan Blaney. It is his second win of the season, his second win in 5 races, his second race win at Pocono. 7 years ago, he ended up winning his first race here with the Wood Brothers, so it's cool to see him get another win at the racetrack he got his first career win at. And Penske, they have been on a roll this summer ever since Joey Logano's All-Star win. So Joey Logano won the All-Star race on May 19th. 2 weeks later, Austin Cindric won at Gateway. 2 weeks later, Ryan Blaney won at Iowa. 2 weeks later after that, Joey Logano won at Nashville. And 2 weeks later today, Ryan Blaney won at Pocono. So Penske has won every other race from now until all the way back at the All-Star race. All 3 drivers have won, made it into the playoffs, which none of us probably expected. I was even critical that Joey Logano might not make the playoffs based on the speed I've seen out of his car this year, but all 3 Penske cars have gotten a win, locked themselves into the playoffs, and Ford has at least found something to stay competitive. And it's not just the wins either. Like, Joey Logano finished 5th today, so they have started to show speed across most of their cars. Austin Cindric, not quite there just yet, but Joey Logano has picked up the pace as well. So Penske is starting to click at the right time, heading into the playoffs in just a few weeks. But now it is time to share my opinion about the Kyle Busch and Corey LaJoie incident. So I think the replay that is the best for this is the onboard of Corey LaJoy, because you see Kyle Busch come down and make a block, and they make contact right there, and then you see Corey LaJoy try to get in line behind Kyle Busch, and as he's doing that, he hits Kyle Busch in the left rear bumper. It's not really the quarter panel, he hits him in the bumper, and that sends Kyle Busch into the grass, and then obviously slides back up the track into the pack and all of that. And I want to give props to Kyle Busch because he probably handled the situation the best way possible that he should have, and not necessarily gave the answer everybody wanted to hear in the media. He just kind of gave the, oh yeah, it sucks, whatever. Yeah, there's nothing to really talk about. I want to thank my sponsors, da 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 da. And that was probably the right thing for him to do, because the last thing he needs is another incident on his mind as he is trying to win a race and make it into the playoffs. And if anybody gets in the way of that, obviously that's not a good thing. So I think Kyle Busch did the right thing, said the right thing in his interviews, trying not to escalate the situation anymore. But I really don't know what Corey LaJoy was thinking. From the initial view, it looked like he was trying to come back up the track and just clean Kyle Busch out in the left rear quarter panel, but actually, from his view, he hit Kyle Busch in the left rear bumper, and I don't know. I don't want to say it looks intentional, but I don't know. I think NASCAR. I think they should at least take a look at it, because, um, and over the radio too, his crew chief, I believe, said something like, "Oh well, he blocked you once, so he got what he deserved," and stuff like that. So I think NASCAR should at least take a look at this to look at the SMT data and see what happened. I know from Kyle Busch's onboard, it sounded like the rev limiter was at the max, and that could have caused him to slow down just a tiny bit and allow Corey LaJoy to miss time, um, the approach to Kyle Busch. But I don't know. NASCAR's gonna have to look at it, but it definitely looked a little bit sus, a little bit intentional, in my opinion, after Kyle Busch cut him off the first time. But they're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, the racing, it was okay. Like I said earlier, I wish that first caution didn't come out in stage 3, so we could have gotten a true Pocono race with the fuel mileage and the different pit strategies coming down to the wire there at the end. But I thought it was okay. It was a little bit hard to pass, and probably kind of similar to what we'll see next weekend at Indianapolis. But that is really all I have to say about what we saw from Pocono. Matthew, what are your thoughts about everything that happened today at the racetrack?
All right, so for today's race, what an amazing crowd! First of all, was sold out crowd. Amazing, always great to see that in every event. Um, I thought the racing today was decent. I mean, it looked like it was hard to pass, but you could make passes. You could make passes. It just seemed hard. Um, the strategy definitely helped made it interesting, but unfortunately at the end, I kind of got thrown away with the caution. So there was no fuel strategy runs at the end, but still a lot of strategy going on, which was always great to see. First and foremost, congratulations to Ryan Blaney, his second win of the season, his second time he's won a Pocono. And tell you what, Ryan Blaney, the defending champion, I think it's starting to come up at the right time here. I mean, that's two wins in the last 5 or 6 races or something like that. Two wins. And we're getting closer to the playoffs, and that's when you want to be at your best. Is right towards the end of the season. That's when you want to be the best. And Ryan Blaney did that last season, and Ryan Blaney could do it again this season. Be the first back-to-back champion with this playoff format. But you never know. It's always chaotic in the NASCAR Cup Series, so we'll have to wait and see what the championship race is going to look like. But Ryan Blaney making a case during the summer that he is a championship threat. So while he didn't have the best car today, they played the execution real well with the strategy and got himself up front with the track position. So they played a smart game today. So congrats to Ryan Blaney. Let's see. Uh, I'll give a shout out to Bo Walls as well. That car was terrible today. He qualified like like almost 30th or something like that, and was nowhere near to be found for most of the race. It seemed like, but of course, with all the different strategies going on, the chaos that happened in stage three, they were able to get up there to the top 10 and take advantage of what happened to Ross Chastain with Ross wrecking out and Ross losing a bunch of points there. So, but Wallace, like I said last weekend, it's not over for him just yet. We got more big tracks coming in, which Bubba Wallace has always been good at. While he wasn't that good today, they were still able to capitalize. So, good job on the 23 team. Let's see. Yeah, let's get right into the big headline coming out of this, and that's, of course, the Kyle Busch Corey LaJoy controversy. So, of course, hearing from you, Jimmy, you explained everything that happened. My take on this. Um, what Corey, I don't know what in the world Corey LaJoy was thinking. I hope NASCAR takes a good look at the SMT data. I don't know if I could say it was intentional or not, but man, looking in that camera view, it kind of looked like it. it kind of looks like it, to be honest. But I'm sure NASCAR will take a look at it because it does kind of look intentional. Let's just be kind of honest here. And it's at a big track where we're going really fast, a high speed track. So I think NASCAR should take a look at it to see if it was intentional. It might be hard to tell, but I think they should anyways. It's just Corey LaJoy not using his head on the restart. I know Kyle Busch made a quote unquote aggressive block, but everyone was doing it on every restart. I mean, every restart you always see somebody blocking the guy on the inside on the restart. It happens every time at Pocono, and you're telling me, I mean, this is no different, and you get mad because of that. So, and of course, you got that idiot of a crew chief trying to be Mr. Tough Guy. Thinks he's driving a car, but no wonder he's getting replaced as crew chief. Um, Corey LaJoy, I mean, he's a he's a veteran now. I think he's a good guy, but clearly he's still drives like a Carson Hocevar sometimes, like his teammate. And he's going to get Rodney Childers at the beginning of next season, and that means Corey LaJoy is going to have the spotlight on him even more because he's going to have a championship, one of the best crew chiefs in the entire series, to a driver that's currently 30 something in points. So he can't be making stupid decisions like this next year. He's got to stop making stupid decisions overall. Let's just say that because he's made plenty of them this year. I mean, he basically did the same thing to Jimmy Johnson at Kansas this year. But I mean, he's a good guy, but he's got to have better judgment than that. And like I said, I hope NASCAR takes a look at it because it kind of looks intentional. I'm not saying it definitely is, but it kind of looks like it. So yeah. But other than that, decent race overall. Love the strategy. Congrats to Blaney. And yeah, um, looking forward to Indianapolis next week.
All right, and before we go over the rating of the race and our favorite paint scheme from the race, I am going to talk about the playoff standings, both the regular season and the playoff cut line, because the regular season points standings are very close, and they have been for the past few weeks. So Chase Elliott has retaken the regular season points lead over Kyle Larson by 3 points, and then it's 15 points back to Reddick, 20 back to Hamlin, and 57 back to Byron. Reddick and Hamlin, I think they were both in the 30s or 40s in points, so they cut in a lot to Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson this week. I think it's at least a 4-car, maybe even a 5-car race with William Byron 57 back. So it's going to be a lot of fun over these next few weeks to figure out who's going to be the regular season champion and get those extra playoff points at the end of the regular season. As for the playoff cut line, Martin Truex Jr. still looking pretty good at plus 137. Ty Gibbs plus 67. Chris Buescher plus 44. And Ross Chastain is now plus 27 over Bubba Wallace. And then Chase Briscoe is 75 back. Chase Briscoe probably in a must win. But like you said, Bubba Wallace cut that points lead. I think he was 44 back heading into this race, I believe. So cut off a few points right there. If Ross Chastain or Chris Buescher has an issue at Indy or any of the next few races, Bubba could be right back in this. And my prediction from last week could come true, and it may not even have to take a winner. Bubba could get in based on points. So two very good points battles to keep our eyes on over the next few weeks. We got Indy next week, then we got that 2-week break, and then we got Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington after that. 5 races to go until the playoffs. But with that being said, let's go ahead and rate the race and give our favorite paint schemes. For me, I think I could give the race I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was solid, not fantastic, but after the past few weeks of Chicago Street Course and 5 overtimes in Nashville, I think it's good to kind of have just a normal race to kind of level things back out. So 6.5 out of 10 for me for the race, and my favorite paint scheme is going to be one that we saw last week, but it wasn't one of my favorite paint schemes, so it will be this week. Is going to be Ross Chastain's Busch Peach car. Unfortunately, it got wrecked this week, but love the orange on that car. Love bright colors in general on race cars, and the detail with the peach and all that stuff on the car. Very cool. And the promotions that Trackhouse has done, the commercials and the ads and stuff they've done with it, and like Ross with the watermelon and the peach and all that, has just capped it off even more. So shout out to their marketing and social media department for that. But favorite paint scheme is going to be Ross Chastain's peach car. Matthew, what are you going to rate the race, and what was your favorite paint scheme?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I thought this was a good race. This was pretty much the definition of a straightforward race. Wasn't chaotic at all until the beginning of stage 3, but that's really it. Um, yeah, 7 out of 10. And then for my paint scheme to race, I gotta go with William Byron's Raptor High Heat car. It kind of gives me a little bit of the Jeff Gordon Drive the End Hunger vibes on it a little bit. And I absolutely wished he would run this paint scheme over the regular Raptor scheme, which I absolutely despise.
All right, and to finish things up, we do have a little bit of off-the-track news that has came out this week. Matthew already alluded to it, but Rodney Childers, he is going to go to Spire and crew chief for Corey LaJoy. And I really don't know why they put him with Corey LaJoy. I wish they would have put him with Carson Hocevar or even Michael McDowell, just because what happened today is another example of why Corey LaJoy is probably the worst driver at Spire going into next season as well, with Michael McDowell going over there. But I wish they would have put him with McDowell, a better veteran of the sport, or a Carson Hocevar, a young driver who they could try to develop with Rodney Childers. But that was announced. Noah Gragson also made his plans, announced that he's going to front row next season. So very excited for him. Hopefully he has a good run over there at that team. And then the last thing is Bubba Wallace was fined $50,000 for the incident after the Chicago Street Course. And my opinions are kind of back and forth on this. We see drivers do stuff like this all the time after the race. So, and there's tons of people calling for, why didn't Chase Elliott get a penalty for doing the same thing to Daniel Suarez? So let me just address that really quick. Chase Elliott barely touched Daniel Suarez, where Bubba Wallace basically pinned Alex Bowman to the wall, and take the drivers out of it. What that incident did was worse than the other one after the race. And whether it deserved to be a fine or not, I'm kind of in between. We've seen NASCAR be very hit or miss with this. They did fine and dock points for Carson Hocevar, but that was obviously different. That was under caution, where there are safety vehicles coming out onto the track and stuff like that. So for it being after the race, I don't think it should have been a fine. But yeah, it was, and it's behind us now. But I just wish NASCAR was a little bit more consistent on this, whether it's after the race, during the race, whatever, or if there's a little bit of a precedent to figure it out. But there have been things in the past that have deserved penalties, like Daniel Suarez, I think, ran into the back of Alex Bowman at Coda, I think, on pit road and got a fine for that. And that's on pit road and, warranted a penalty there. But, yeah, not the first time this has come up, but Bubba Wallace did end up getting fined for that situation. But, Matthew, do you have any closing thoughts about any of those topics or anything else before we can finish this video up?
Couple things. First, the I I gotta talk about that whole Bubba Wallace getting fined thing. That is absolutely stupid. I have no idea why in the world they fined him for that. This sort of thing, post race contact, that's happened all the time, and I can name instances where they have put people in the wall. I remember Chase Elliott in 2017 Martinsville. He put Denny Hamlin in the wall on the backstretch after the checker flag. No fine. Or how about when Austin was it Austin Dillon? Yeah, Austin Dillon in the Xfinity series back in the day. He put Denny Hamlin in the inside wall coming to pit road post race. Um, did he get fined? Actually, I don't know if he got fined for that. That was so long ago. But how about Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Martinsville, 2021? He was Denny Hamlin was going crazy during the celebration there. No fine for that. So I'm sorry, I don't like it at all. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, it's threatening Alex Bowman's safety or something like that. They're going like 15 miles per hour. Come on. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that at all. Now maybe NASCAR talking to Bubba Wallace about it. Hey, like, hey, was I know you're mad at the moment, but don't do that again. Cool. I'm fine with that. But finding that, come on. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's ridiculous. Um, and then I'll talk about this rumor that's going on right now. I'm hearing something about Riley Herbst might be going to a third 2311 car. And every time I hear that, I'm just shaking my head of disappointment because I know Denny Hamlin is seriously not thinking about putting that guy in a 2311 car. Like, are you serious? He's got one win in all the top three series, one win, and only one Xfinity win out of like what, four full time seasons? Are you serious? And you're gonna get, and he's gonna probably get not just any Cup Series, right? A ride with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. You're telling me he's going to get that ride? Are you serious? When you seriously got a very talented young driver in Corey Heim, literally waiting to get that ride. Corey Heim should be the undisputed number one option for that third 2311 car. And the fact that we're hearing Riley Herbst in that car, are you serious? So I just gotta say that. I really hope this rumor doesn't come true, but knowing how these rumors are in the past, I probably will. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't really see how that would happen anyway, since Riley Herbst has his tie to Ford and Stewart Haas Racing, and then Corey Heim, like you mentioned, is a Toyota development driver, and he's driven Ford 2311 this year, so I don't really see how that would happen, but what do we know? We're just two guys that talk on YouTube about racing, but yeah, there is plenty more silly season stuff to be talked about throughout the rest of the summer and the rest of the season. So we'll try our best to keep you guys updated on all of that. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know your thoughts and comments about everything you saw from Pocono over the weekend. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. We will see you guys in the next one.